Hello, I'm State Representative John Payne. The number one priority of the General Assembly is to create and pass a state budget. Now that we're in the month of June, the process has already begun with a vote on the governor's budget proposal. Joining me to discuss that process and update us on this year's budget is the Majority Chairman of the House Appropriations Committee, my friend, Representative Bill Adolph. Bill, welcome.
Nice to be here, John.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about the vote that just occurred on the governor's budget, which wasn't a Democratic version because we couldn't find anybody to introduce the budget.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting, to say the least. I guess it was. We have to go back a good 3 weeks ago. I made an announcement on the floor of the House, as well as at the Appropriations Committee meeting, that I will be introducing a vehicle, okay, which is actually last year's budget. We got the revenue for it, okay. I'm putting it in place because we have certain House rules that it takes us a couple weeks in order to move a budget bill. So as these negotiations continue over the next several weeks, I wanted to have a piece of legislation in place so we can amend to that. And I also made an announcement that any members that would like to amend this vehicle on second, you go right ahead, but there's also House rules, okay, that say that the amendment has to be filed on time and also has to be revenue neutral, okay? Meaning that if you add a line item, you have to subtract a line item with the same dollar amount and take it out, or add in new revenue. Everybody knows that. Well, Chairman Markozik, the House Democratic Chairman of Appropriations, missed the filing deadline by about 7 days, okay? It was supposed to be filed the previous Tuesday. On Monday, the following Monday, he filed this amendment, and it's Governor Wolf's spending plan, okay? Roughly about $33.8 billion worth of spending. No money to pay for it, and obviously it was out of order, okay? But he wanted to have an opportunity just to talk about the spending plan. But before he had the opportunity to talk about the spending plan, we gave him an opportunity to see if they wanted to vote how to pay for it. And Representative Seth Grove from York County offered an amendment to a tax bill, which was the governor's tax revenue bill. And we had an opportunity to discuss the governor's proposal at length. And to our surprise, and we actually told the House Democratic leadership that, if they don't withdraw Representative Markozik's amendment, that we were going to move to a bill to pay for it, which we did when they were not willing to withdraw that amendment. So we put up the Seth Grove amendment, which was actually the governor's revenue bill. And we debated that probably for an hour and a half, and we put the vote up, and it received a total of 0 yes votes. So I think that sent a message across the Capitol, okay, that the House Democrats voted, not one of them voted yes for the budget. So, it's been talked about in the press rooms across the Commonwealth, editorial boards, what went on. We met with the governor. I think it was, something that he had to take a look at, that, you have to get your caucuses behind your plan, okay, if you're going to sit and negotiate with us, okay? So we're going to see what happens. Still no one has introduced the revenue plan on the Democratic side, and of course, in order to introduce the spending plan, you have to have the revenue to pay for it. So that's where we stand, John.
Well, and I appreciate you. The explanation was so right on, spot on. And for the people who are watching, this wasn't gamemanship. This was, in fact, saying, look, we're sitting at a table as adults. We have to pass a budget. and we're supposed to pass it on time by the end of this month, by the end of June. You can't propose spending $33 million in revenue and not have the taxes for it. And people realize where we're at now, what a $33 million budget, how large of an increase that is.
$33 billion.
Billion. I said billion. 33 billion.
33 billion, John.
Yeah, thanks for correcting me. It wasn't million, it was billion. And what's our current budget? It's not 33 billion?
It's right around 30.
Yeah.
It's right around 30.
So we're talking
the general fund was
$3 billion.
No question about it. And that's in this fiscal year. Half of 15 and half of 16. Okay? But when you actually go into the full calendar year of 16, it's an $8 billion tax increase. So there's a lot of work to be done. And I think this is an important vote too, John, because I chaired 3 weeks of intense hearings. Something that you do as a former businessman, you do your budget and you go through, you bring your department heads in and you go through their budgets and so forth and so on. Anytime that we had a question regarding one specific area, the answer that we heard for 8 hours a day for 3 weeks was, you have to take a look at our whole budget. We can't take some of the parts that we like and not take what you don't like. You have to look at the whole thing. Well, this Grove Amendment was the Wolf revenue plan in its entirety, and it received 0 votes.
I think that's critical, because now as you go forward and you're negotiating, the governor can't say, well, you got to look at it as entirety, or my budget's still a good budget. It's, look, we did look at it in its entirety. We did look at the entire spending plan, and I'm glad you pointed out that the $3 billion is just to finish the year. In the whole cycle, it's $8 billion.
That's correct.
I mean, for thinking about that, it's like, it wasn't that long ago, we were at $26 or $27 billion budget, and now we're at 30, and now he wants to grow it by $8 billion. It's like, it's not like the people should understand, this isn't like a small increase. This is, I think, the largest tax increase proposal.
Well, it's a 16% increase. I mean, that's, and some of the taxes, he didn't really miss any of the taxes. He's increasing most of them, But probably the most controversial part, in my opinion, at least this is what I'm hearing in my district office, is the expansion. There's an increase in state sales tax. That's one thing. But it's the expansion of what becomes taxable, and that's the professional services. And a lot of people say, oh, there's going to be a tax on accountants, a tax on attorneys, architects. No, it's really not a tax on them. It's a tax on their clients, right? Your neighbors. Okay, so if your family needs some legal help and they go to the local attorney, and that bill is $1,000, whether it's putting the will together or giving you some legal advice, all right, it's now times that by 6.6.
Yeah.
Nursing homes, John. We all have elderly family members, neighbors. Those fees are $4,000, $5,000 a month. Times that by 6.6%. Daycare. Daycare. I mean, we have young families, that both of them are out there working, putting their kids in daycare, paying $15,000 a year in daycare fees. Times that by 6.6%. So these are really tax policies that will affect all working folks of Pennsylvania, and we had to address it, and I think we did address that the other day.
You sure did. That's all the time we have for today's program. If you need assistance with any state matter, feel free to contact me at my local office or through my website. That information will be shown in just a moment. Thanks for watching.